Hi, I'm Jordan from Kettner Creative. In this video, we're going to compare the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 audio interface to the solid-state Logic SSL2 Plus audio interface. Now, this isn't a straight apples to apples or oranges to oranges comparison. The SSL2 Plus does have some bells and whistles above the standard SSL2 unit, so I'll try to point those out to make sure that we're getting an even comparison as we do this comparison. Now, if you want to see pricing or specs or where to buy either of these, we do have some links in the description below. I don't want to say what the price is just because right now the prices are moving around quite a bit, so please do check out current pricing using the links below, so it'll help you put in context where each of these are and why the feature set are the way that they are between the two. Now, before we compare the two features and walk through the bodies, let's take a real quick look at the specs between these two devices. They both come with 48 volts of phantom power. They're both 24-bit recording devices, and they both have supported sample rates between 44.1 all the way up to 192 kilohertz. Now, as far as the mic preamps are concerned, the Focusrite Scarlett has a gain range of 56 decibels, and the SSL2 has a gain range of 62 decibels. So the SSL2 does have a little bit more gain, a little bit more power in those preamps. Now, as far as noise is concerned, the Focusrite Scarlett has an EIN of minus 128 dBu, and the SSL2 has an EIN of minus 130.5 dBu. So again, the SSL is a little bit quieter, even though it has more gain, which is pretty impressive. Now, in terms of max instrument input, the Focusrite has 12.5 dBu and the SSL2 Plus has 15 dBu. For max line level input, this Focusrite Scarlett has plus 22 dBu and the SSL2 has plus 24 dBu. For monitor outputs, the Focusrite Scarlett has a dynamic range of 108 dBA and the SSL2 has 112 dB. The output level of the Focusrite Scarlett is plus 15.5 dBu and the output level of the solid-state Logic is 12.5 dBu. So now that we got the specs out of the way, the big ones for me when we're looking at that is the gain range and how quiet these preamps are. The SSL2 Plus also has a bit more dynamic range in the monitor and headphone outputs as well, which is another plus in that favor. But now let's walk through the ergonomics and what features are physically on each of these audio interfaces. Now we'll plug both of these in and do a live test with a microphone here in a minute so we can test out some of these features. But they both have two combi jack inputs. They can accept mic level with XLR, line level with 1/4 inch, or instrument level with 1/4 inch. You can see here that on the SSL2 or 2 Plus that the inputs are on the back, and on the Focusrite Scarlett the inputs are on the front. Now, in terms of gain knobs and setting the gain, on the Focusrite Scarlett they do have this kind of nondescript color ring where as you turn it up it goes from green, and then once you get kind of to that minus 10 range it goes yellow, and then once you're peaking it goes red. Now, I do favor the meter that's on the SSL2. I love seeing the physical meter. It's not treating me like a baby in terms of this animated wheel thing. This is helpful for beginners who don't want to get overwhelmed with what does minus 20 mean, what does minus 10 mean. They just turn it up until it's green and then they know they're good to go. And that is useful for a lot of people. They don't need to overthink it. They just want to get their podcast going, whatever they're trying to do. But for me, with the solid-state Logic here, I love seeing that meter. It just helps me keep tabs on where I really am. Now, by default on the Scarlett, 1/4 inch is line level. It knows that. It sets it for you. On the SSL, you do have to set that it's line level. When you put an instrument cable into this Scarlett, you do have to click instrument. And for the SSL, you have to press both line and high Z. There's a little indication here of what you should do, but you have to press both buttons to get it. So just a little bit of a difference there. Next, the Focusrite Scarlett has this air button. What this does is it boosts the upper frequencies and adds a little bit of that analog distortion. Now the SSL2 Plus has this 4K switch, which is trying to emulate the SSL 4000 consoles. And what are they known for? Upper frequency lift and that gritty, as they call it, that mojo, that analog distortion that gives you character. So they both have a feature claiming to do the same thing. So we're going to test that later on with the microphone with and without the Air and the 4K and let you hear the difference between the two. Now in terms of phantom power, the SSL2 can do individual phantom power per channel, where on the Focusrite Scarlett, phantom power is a all or nothing sort of thing. You got to press it and it'll activate both. Now on this SSL, if you press 48 volts of phantom power, you can tell that it's a locking switch here. So if you unplug and replug in the device, that phantom power will come back. If you unplug and replug in the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, phantom power will turn off by default. So this is a safety feature to make sure that you're always wanting phantom power no matter what. Where the SSL2 Plus, it doesn't make that assumption. It's just going to lock in your last choice and keep it ready to go. So you can tell just kind of looking at the layout of the SSL2 that if we're looking at this from an ergonomics point of view, we're kind of jumping ahead here. But the front of the Focusrite Scarlett has all the I/O and all the control and everything. The solid state logic SSL2 has all the I/O on the back. All your plugins are on the back and then your controls on the front. So I think that's why they favor the 48 volts being left in the position, because this audio interface here doesn't seem like, from an ergonomic point of view, that it's meant to be plugged in and changed all the time. It looks like it's meant to be more installed. So the logic here with the phantom power is, if this is installed under your monitor or on your desk somewhere, then you're probably going to lock in your phantom power settings. So that's what I think if I follow along. On both of these audio interfaces, we get a nice huge monitor knob here. This is super helpful. You're turning that knob all day long, adjusting the monitor volume. So that's a really nice feature. The SSL one does turn up to 11 though. So, you know, this one only turns up to 10. Actually, this one doesn't even have a label. So keep that in mind. The SSL goes to 11, which is a whole extra 10% of volume, or it's just a joke, either way. And when we're talking about monitoring, we can talk about how we want to monitor. On both of these, we have the option to either listen both ears to both inputs, or on the Focusrite, you could switch it. So one input's in one ear, one's on the other, and you have the same option on the SSL2 Plus. But on the SSL2 Plus, you also get the option to switch between your input at latency free and your playback from your DAW, so you can mix your monitoring however you want it. You also get 2 different headphone jack volumes on the SSL2 Plus, and you only get 1 on the Focusrite Scarlett. And on the back of the SSL2 Plus, some additional things that the Focusrite Scarlett doesn't have. It has MIDI in and out, it has RCA outputs, and it has 2 headphone jack outputs. Now, on the back of the Focusrite Scarlett, we do have 2 line level outputs for your studio monitors, but on the SSL2, not the 2 Plus that we have here, there's no RCA and there's no MIDI. So keep that in mind. If we were comparing something that was closer to the price range of the Focusrite Scarlett, it wouldn't have the MIDI in and out or the RCA outputs. This is an extra step above that. So keep that in mind when you're comparing them. So that's it from a physical point of view. Now let's test it out with the Shure SM7B. Okay, so here we have the Focusrite Scarlett with the SM7B plugged into it. The gain is turned up to about 9 out of 10 on the Focusrite Scarlett here, just so you can see what's going on. Now we haven't turned on instrument or air. Obviously we don't want instrument on, but we'll test air in a second. But this is just to give you an idea of how well that the Focusrite Scarlett can power the Shure SM7B by itself without an inline cloud lifter or another inline preamp. So this is how it sounds when it's totally flat and turned to 9 out of 10. Now I'm going to do it for 5 seconds without me speaking at 9 out of 10. Then I'm going to go up to 10 out of 10 just so you can hear how noisy it is. Then we'll come back to 9 out of 10. So there you could hear how noisy it is. Now I'm going to speak into this without the air switch on. Then I'm going to turn the air switch on so you can hear how that high frequency boost works and see if you can hear any of that low end kind of analog distortion kick in as well. So this is the Shure SM7B with the air switch turned on when it's plugged into the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 audio interface when it's set to about 9 out of 10 on the gain. Now I'm going to turn that off. Next, we're going to try this on the solid state logic SSL2 Plus audio interface. Okay, so here we are with the Shure SM7B plugged into the SSL2 Plus audio interface. You can tell right away, again, like I was saying before, that this LED meter here is providing us with a lot more information than the sometimes flickering green light on the Scarlett 2i2 audio interface. So I love that you can get that audio feedback right away with the meter there. But this is how it sounds when it's completely flat. Now we're going to try this with the optional 4K switch. So we're expecting to hear a high frequency boost and some of that mojo, as SSL likes to call it. So this is the Shure SM7B microphone with the 4K switch engaged. So hear this. Please listen to how the frequencies sound. Do you like this better or worse? Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'm going to turn that off. Next, we're going to test this. Right now we're at about 9 out of 10. So I'm going to turn it all the way up to 10 out of 10, just like we did with the last one. So I'll do 5 seconds at this level, 5 seconds at 10 out of 10. So there you could hear the noise of the Shure SM7B plugged in the SSL2 Plus when it gets turned up to 10 out of 10. So there you have it. That's my comparison of the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 audio interface compared to the Solid State Logic 2 Plus audio interface. Again, if you're looking for pricing or specs for either of these options, please check out the links in the description below. I'd love to hear what you thought of the comparison. Are you looking to buy one of these right now? What one are you looking to buy? Can you justify the extra cost of the SSL2 Plus? Maybe you're looking for the SSL2, just the same thing without less features, or maybe the Focusrite Scarlett is absolutely perfect for you in its form factor and convenience. I'd love to hear what you're thinking about doing, and if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.